You know, most seniors do one thing every single day that they believe is keeping them healthy. They walk, they stay active, they move around the house, run errands, maybe take a stroll in the evening. And yet, so many of them still feel weaker than they should. They still feel unsteady on stairs. They still worry about falling. They still struggle to get up from a low chair or off the floor. I've been practicing medicine for over 30 years now, specializing in internal medicine and geriatrics, and I see this pattern constantly. Active people, people who are genuinely trying. And yet, something is missing. Their walking is wonderful, don't get me wrong. But walking alone doesn't challenge your body in all the ways it needs to be challenged after 60. There are specific movement patterns, simple ones that take just a few minutes a day, that most people skip entirely. And those missing movements are often the difference between feeling confident and independent versus feeling fragile and worried about your next step. Today, I want to share 6 daily movements with you. These aren't complicated exercises. They don't require a gym or special equipment. They're inspired by something I've observed in cultures where people tend to stay mobile and independent well into their 80s and 90s, particularly in parts of Japan where daily movement habits are woven into ordinary life. But I want to be clear from the start. This isn't about some mystical secret from the East. This is about practical, evidence-based movement patterns that protect your strength, your balance, your joints, and your independence. And you can do them anywhere in the world. Starting today. If you stay with me through this video, I'll walk you through each movement step by step. I'll explain exactly why it matters for your body after 60, how to do it safely, what mistakes to avoid, and how to progress over time. At the end, I'll give you a simple 5-minute daily routine that puts it all together, along with a week-by-week plan to build consistency. This is the kind of information I wish every one of my patients had years ago, so let's get into it. First, let me explain why walking, as wonderful as it is, isn't enough for many people after 60. When you walk, you're moving forward in a predictable pattern. Your body gets good at that specific motion. But life doesn't always move in straight, predictable lines. You need to react when you stumble on an uneven sidewalk. You need strength to push yourself up from a chair or a toilet. You need ankle mobility to navigate stairs. You need hip stability to catch yourself if you trip. You need balance to stand on one leg while you put on your pants or step over something. These are what I call the movement gaps. They're the abilities that decline quietly as we age, often without us noticing until something goes wrong. A fall, a near miss that shakes your confidence. Difficulty getting up from the floor. That moment when you realize stairs have become something you dread rather than something you barely think about. The good news is that these gaps can be addressed with remarkably simple movements. Not hour-long workouts, not complicated routines, just a handful of targeted movements done consistently, ideally every day, that keep these essential abilities sharp. Now, let me mention why I'm referencing Japanese elders specifically. When you look at regions with high concentrations of healthy, long-lived people, you often notice something interesting. It's not that they do formal exercise programs. It's that movement is built into their daily lives in ways that challenge multiple physical systems. In traditional Japanese households, for example, there's often more sitting on the floor, which means getting up and down repeatedly throughout the day. There's more walking as transportation. There's more squatting and bending in daily tasks. There's more balance challenge built into routine activities. I'm not suggesting you need to adopt a Japanese lifestyle. What I am suggesting is that we can learn from the principle. Frequent, varied, low-intensity movement throughout the day builds and maintains the physical capacities that keep you independent. You don't need to move to Okinawa. You just need to fill in the movement gaps that modern life tends to create, especially after 60 when your body becomes less forgiving of what you don't use. Before we start, I need to give you an important safety note. If you have heart disease, uncontrolled blood pressure, vertigo, severe arthritis, recent surgery, osteoporosis with fractures, or if you take blood thinners, please speak with your doctor before adding new movements to your routine. What I'm about to show you is designed to be low risk and adaptable, but your individual situation matters. Always have a sturdy chair or wall nearby for support. Move slowly and deliberately, and if you feel dizzy, experience sharp pain, or something doesn't feel right, stop immediately. Sit down, breathe, drink some water, and if symptoms persist, contact your healthcare provider. Now, let's go through the 6 movements. I'm going to present them in an order that makes sense for building a daily routine, and for each one, I'll explain the why, the how, the common mistakes, the modifications, and the progression. Movement number 1 is the controlled sit to stand. This might sound basic, and in some ways it is, but it's also one of the most important functional movements for maintaining independence as you age. The ability to get up from a chair without using your hands, or to lower yourself down with control, directly predicts your ability to live independently, use the bathroom safely, get in and out of cars, and recover if you do fall. Why does this matter so much after 60? Because the muscles you need for this movement, primarily your quadriceps at the front of your thighs, your glutes in your hips, and your core, tend to weaken with age if they're not regularly challenged. Walking doesn't challenge them enough. You need to actually practice the movement of standing up and sitting down with intention and control. Here's how to do it. Start seated in a sturdy chair that doesn't roll or tip. Your feet should be flat on the floor, about hip width apart. Scoot forward so you're sitting near the front edge of the chair. Place your hands on your thighs or cross them over your chest. Now, lean your torso slightly forward, press through your heels, and stand up slowly. Take about 2 to 3 seconds to rise. At the top, stand tall and squeeze your glutes gently. Then, push your hips back, bend your knees, and lower yourself down slowly, taking another 2 to 3 seconds. Touch the chair lightly with your bottom, then stand again. That's 1 repetition. The common mistakes I see are using momentum to pop up quickly, collapsing down rather than lowering with control, and letting the knees cave inward. The fixes are simple. Slow down, focus on pressing through your heels, and imagine spreading the floor apart with your feet to keep your knees tracking over your toes. For a beginner modification, keep your hands on the armrests of the chair or on your thighs and use them to assist as needed. You can also use a higher chair or place a firm cushion on the seat to reduce how far you need to rise. As you get stronger, progress to using no hands, lowering the chair height, and eventually pausing for a moment just above the chair before standing back up. A good starting goal is 5 to 8 controlled repetitions. Over time, work toward 10 to 15. The key is control, not speed. Movement number 2 is the heel raise, also called the calf pump. This one is critical for circulation, ankle stability, and the push-off power you need for walking and climbing stairs. Your calf muscles act as a pump for blood returning from your lower legs to your heart. When these muscles are weak or inactive, you may experience swelling in your ankles, fatigue in your legs, and reduced stability when walking. Strong calves also help you push off the ground when you walk and give you the reactive strength to catch yourself if you stumble forward. Here's how to do it. Stand behind a sturdy chair, holding the back lightly for balance. Your feet should be hip-width apart, toes pointing forward. Slowly rise up onto the balls of your feet, lifting your heels as high as comfortable. Hold at the top for 1 to 2 seconds. Then lower down slowly, taking about 2 to 3 seconds to return your heels to the floor. That's 1 repetition. Common mistakes include rising too quickly, not lifting the heels high enough, and gripping the chair too tightly. The goal is to use the chair for light balance support, not to pull yourself up with your arms. Focus on a slow, controlled lift and an even slower lowering. For a beginner modification, don't lift as high, just a gentle rise is fine to start. You can also do this seated by pressing the balls of your feet into the floor and lifting your heels while sitting. As you progress, try using just fingertip support on the chair, then eventually no hands at all. You can also try single leg heel raises, 1 foot at a time, for an advanced challenge. Start with 8 to 10 repetitions. Work toward 15 to 20 over time. Movement number 3 is the toe lift, also called ankle dorsiflexion. This one is often completely overlooked, but it's essential for preventing trips and falls. When you walk, your toes need to lift adequately to clear the ground. The muscles at the front of your shin, the tibialis anterior, are responsible for this. When these muscles weaken, your toes start to drag or catch on carpet edges, thresholds, and uneven surfaces. This is one of the most common causes of tripping in older adults, and it's very trainable. Here's how to do it. Stand with your back against a wall or hold onto a sturdy chair for support. Keeping your heels on the ground, lift your toes and the front of your feet up toward your shins. You should feel the muscles at the front of your lower legs working. Hold for 1 to 2 seconds at the top, then lower slowly. That's 1 repetition. You can also do this seated, which is actually a great option. Sit in a chair with your feet flat on the floor. Keep your heels planted and lift just your toes and the balls of your feet off the ground. Lower, slowly. Repeat. Common mistakes include lifting too fast without control and not lifting the toes high enough to actually challenge the muscles. Focus on a deliberate, controlled movement. For beginners, The seated version is easiest. As you progress, try the standing version with wall support, then without support. You can also try walking on your heels for short distances, which challenges these muscles in a functional way. Start with 10 to 12 repetitions. Work toward 15 to 20. Movement number 4 is the hip hinge, sometimes called the bow pattern. This is about teaching your body to bend forward safely by moving at the hips, not rounding the lower back. It's essential for picking things up, loading the dishwasher, gardening, and countless daily activities. After 60, many people develop a habit of bending through the spine rather than the hips, which puts stress on the lower back and can lead to pain and injury over time. The hip hinge retrains your body to use your powerful glute and hamstring muscles while keeping your spine in a safe, neutral position. Here's how to do it. Stand with your feet hip-width apart, knees slightly soft, not locked. Place your hands on your thighs. Now, push your hips backward as if you're trying to touch a wall behind you with your bottom. Let your torso lean forward naturally, but keep your back straight, not rounded. Your hands will slide down your thighs toward your knees. You should feel a gentle stretch in your hamstrings and engagement in your glutes. Go only as far as comfortable, then squeeze your glutes and push your hips forward to return to standing. The key cue is hips back, chest proud. Imagine a string attached to your tailbone, pulling it backward. Your spine stays long and neutral while your hips do the work. Common mistakes include rounding the lower back, bending the knees too much like a squat, and going too deep before you have the mobility. Start shallow and gradually increase depth as it feels comfortable. For a beginner modification, place your hands on a counter or the back of a chair in front of you for support. You can also do a smaller range of motion initially. As you progress, try the movement without hand support, increase the depth slightly, and add a pause at the bottom. Start with 5 to 8 repetitions with good form. Quality matters more than quantity here. Movement number 5 is the supported single leg balance. This is where we directly address the balance system, and it's one of the most important things you can do for fall prevention. Balance is a skill that requires practice. It involves your inner ear, your vision, and the sensors in your muscles and joints all working together. When any of these systems weaken, which happens naturally with age, and when you don't regularly challenge your balance, your stability declines. But the encouraging news is that balance responds very well to training. Even small amounts of daily practice can lead to meaningful improvements. Here's how to do it. Stand beside a sturdy chair or counter, holding on lightly with one hand. Shift your weight onto one leg. Slowly lift the other foot just an inch or two off the ground. You don't need to lift it high, just enough that you're balancing on one leg. Try to hold for 10 to 15 seconds, then switch legs. Focus on standing tall, engaging your core gently, and keeping your eyes on a fixed point in front of you. Don't hold your breath. Breathe normally. Common mistakes include gripping the support too tightly, looking down at your feet, and rushing through it. This should feel like a practice, not a test. Use as much support as you need to feel safe. For beginners, keep a firm grip on the support and lift the foot only slightly. You can also start with a staggered stance, one foot slightly in front of the other, before progressing to a true single leg stand. As you improve, try using just fingertips on the support, then try without holding on at all. You can also try closing your eyes briefly, though only if you have a support nearby and feel very stable, as this significantly increases the challenge. Start with 2 to 3 holds of 10 seconds per leg. Work toward 30-second holds on each side. Movement number 6 is the spine and shoulder mobility combination. This addresses the upper body and trunk, which are often neglected in movement routines but are essential for posture, breathing, reaching, and overall comfort. As we age, the thoracic spine, which is the middle and upper back, tends to stiffen. The shoulders round forward, the neck cranes ahead. This posture pattern contributes to back pain, shoulder problems, breathing difficulties, and a general sense of stiffness that makes people feel older than they are. Simple mobility work can counteract this pattern and help you stand taller, breathe easier, and move more freely. Here's a simple combination you can do. Stand with your back against a wall, heels a few inches from the wall. Let your buttocks, upper back, and head touch the wall if comfortable. Raise your arms out to the sides and bend your elbows to 90 degrees, like a goalpost position. Try to get your elbows, wrists, and the backs of your hands to touch the wall. Now slowly slide your arms up the wall, straightening them overhead, then back down to the goalpost position. Move slowly and breathe. This is sometimes called wall angels. For a gentler variation focusing on rotation, Sit in a chair with your feet flat on the floor. Cross your arms over your chest. Keeping your hips facing forward, slowly rotate your upper body to the right, looking over your right shoulder. Return to center, then rotate to the left. Move slowly and smoothly, only going as far as comfortable. You can also do simple shoulder circles, rolling your shoulders forward, up, back, and down in slow circles, then reversing direction. Common mistakes include forcing range of motion, holding your breath, and moving too quickly. Mobility work should be gentle and exploratory. You're not trying to stretch as far as possible. You're trying to move through a comfortable range and gradually expand it over time. For beginners, choose whichever variation feels best for your body. As you progress, you can combine movements, increase repetitions, and explore slightly greater ranges of motion. Start with 5 to 8 repetitions of each movement or 30 to 60 seconds of gentle mobility work. The goal is to feel looser and more open afterward. Now let me put this all together into a simple daily routine. This should take about 5 minutes once you're familiar with the movements. I suggest doing it once in the morning to wake up your body and once in the evening if you have time, but even once a day makes a difference. Start with the sit to stand. Do 5 to 8 controlled repetitions from a sturdy chair. Next, move to heel raises. Hold the chair and do 10 to 12 repetitions, lifting and lowering slowly. Then do toe lifts. You can stay standing or sit down for this. Do 10 to 12 repetitions. Next is the hip hinge. Hands on thighs. Push your hips back and return. 5 to 8 repetitions with good form. Then single leg balance. Hold the chair and balance on one leg for 10 to 15 seconds. Then switch. Repeat 2 to 3 times per side. Finally, spine and shoulder mobility. Wall angels, seated rotation, or shoulder circles for about 30 to 60 seconds. That's your 5-minute daily routine. It covers your legs, your ankles, your hips, your balance, and your upper body mobility. It's comprehensive without being exhausting. For your first week, I recommend the following targets. Sit to stand, 5 repetitions with hand support if needed. Heel raises, 10 repetitions with chair support. Toe lifts, 10 repetitions seated. Hip hinge, 5 repetitions with hands on thighs. Single leg balance, 10-second holds with firm support. Mobility, 30 seconds of gentle movement. During weeks 2 through 4, gradually increase. Add a few repetitions to each exercise. Reduce hand support where possible. Extend your balance holds toward 20 to 30 seconds. The progression should be gentle. There's no rush. Consistency is what matters, not intensity. Let me share 3 brief stories from my practice that illustrate how these movements help real people. The first is about a woman in her early 70s who walked 2 miles every morning. She was proud of her walking habit, and rightfully so. But she came to me concerned because she felt increasingly unsteady on stairs, particularly going down. She'd grab the railing tightly and take each step slowly, which made her feel old and frustrated. When I assessed her, I noticed her ankle strength was weak, particularly the toe lifting muscles, and her sit-to-stand ability had declined more than she realized. We added just 2 movements to her daily routine, toe lifts and controlled sit-to-stands. Nothing dramatic. Within about 6 weeks, she told me the stairs felt different. She wasn't gripping the railing as hard. Going down didn't feel as precarious. Her walking was still the same, but now it was supported by ankle and thigh strength that she'd been missing. The second story is about a gentleman in his late 60s who kept catching his toes on things, carpet edges, door thresholds, slightly uneven pavement. He'd stumbled several times and had one near fall that shook his confidence. He'd started walking more cautiously, shuffling a bit, which actually increased his fall risk. His issue was classic toe drop from weakened shin muscles combined with decreased balance reactions. We focused on toe lifts to strengthen his ankle dorsiflexors and single leg balance holds to improve his stability and reactions. He practiced daily, just a few minutes each time. Within 2 months, he noticed he was walking more normally again. He wasn't thinking about every step. The toe-catching incidents became rare. His confidence returned. The third story is about a woman in her mid-70s with chronic back stiffness. She felt fragile, especially in the morning. Bending forward to pick something up felt risky. She'd stopped gardening because she was afraid of hurting her back. When I watched her move, I saw that she was bending entirely through her lower spine rather than hinging at her hips. She'd lost the hip hinge pattern that keeps the back safe. We worked on relearning that movement, hands on thighs, hips back, spine neutral. We also added the spine and shoulder mobility work to reduce her upper back stiffness. The change was gradual but real. After about 2 months of daily practice, she said she felt less fragile. Bending didn't scare her as much because she knew she was doing it safely. She even started doing light gardening again. Not because anything magical happened, but because she'd rebuilt a movement pattern that had quietly disappeared over the years. These aren't dramatic transformations, they're realistic improvements from consistent daily practice. That's what these 6 movements can offer. Let me recap the safety guidelines before we close. Always have a sturdy support nearby when doing any standing exercises. Move slowly and with control. Never bounce or jerk through movements. If you feel dizzy, stop immediately, sit down, take slow breaths, and drink some water. If dizziness persists or returns when you stand, contact your doctor. If you feel sharp pain, as opposed to mild muscle effort or gentle stretching, stop that movement. Pain is a signal, and it shouldn't be ignored. You can try a gentler version or skip that movement until you can check with your clinician. If you have any of the conditions I mentioned earlier, heart disease, uncontrolled blood pressure, vertigo, severe arthritis, recent surgery, osteoporosis with fractures, or you take blood thinners, please get clearance from your healthcare provider before starting. These movements are designed to be low risk, but your individual situation always matters. Start with the beginner versions. There's no prize for doing the hardest version on day 1. The prize is still doing this comfortably 6 months from now. Progress slowly. Add repetitions before reducing support. Reduce support before adding difficulty. Your body needs time to adapt. I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment and tell me your age and where in the world you're watching from. This community spans so many countries, and it's wonderful to hear from people everywhere who are taking their health seriously. Also, I'm curious, which of these 6 movements feels most challenging for you? Is it the sit to stand, the balance work, the ankle exercises, the hip hinge? Let me know. Your feedback helps me understand what to focus on in future videos. If you found this helpful, I'd be grateful if you'd hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. These videos take time to create, and your support helps more people find this information. When you like and subscribe, it tells the algorithm that this content is worth sharing, and it reaches more people who need it. Independence is built from small, daily movements. That's the core message I want you to take away. You don't need an hour at the gym. You don't need expensive equipment or a personal trainer. You need 5 minutes a day of intentional movement that addresses the gaps that walking alone doesn't fill. Ankles, thighs, hips, balance, spine. These are the pillars of staying mobile and independent. The people who age well aren't lucky. They're consistent. They do small things daily that maintain what matters. These 6 movements are a starting point, a foundation you can build on for years to come. Start today. Start gently. Do what you can, and do it again tomorrow. Your future self, the one who walks confidently, climbs stairs without worry, gets up from any chair without struggle, and moves through the world feeling capable and secure, that future self will thank you. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next video.